hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real rappers being real with self. My dad haven't seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. It's time to switch it up, put the hip shit on the shelf. Cause the way the real rappers being real with self. My dad haven't seen the glory of the coming of the left. I can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for help. Money, money, money. All you guys are like wrong and wealthy. Like Kanye West said, having money is not everything. Not having it is. No, Deuteronomy 8:18 that God gives us the ability to create wealth. No, it's the love of money that's wrong. You don't want money so much, why would you have to go to work? Yeah, it's not doing it about one of the things that we think. I'm just trying to leave a legacy for money. Not everything, but when you got it, you can do some cool stuff. And now, your host for Talking Money in the Morning, financial health mentor to the working class, Mr. H Cortez.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Talking Money in the Morning Live with your main man, H Cortez, the one and only financial health mentor to the working class, where I do my absolute best to bring practical yet proven wealth building strategies to men and women all over this great nation of ours. It is truly an honor, privilege, and a blessing to be able to present to you guys each and every morning. Good morning, Francine. Good morning, Yvette. Good morning, Sandra. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the show, guys. Today is an interesting show. I've done this before, and I just think it's time to do it again as we roll into the new year. On Facebook, I said, what does a real millionaire look like? Right. On YouTube, it says Portrait of a Millionaire Part 2. Right? Portrait of a Millionaire Part 2. What does a real millionaire look like? And I've got some things here. I've got some things listed here because it comes from this book right here, The Millionaire Next Door. The Millionaire Next Door, guys. Great read, and I can't even get through it, man. I am going to read 5 books a month in 2017. Where did I get the number 5 from? Again, I study billionaires. So I'm going to read 5 books a month because billionaires read at least 5 books a month. And that's something that I haven't been doing. I do learn. I do a lot of audio books and MP3 downloads and stuff like that, but I've got to start reading. Billionaires consume 5 books per month. So I'm a billionaire, so I got to consume 5 books a month. Right? I just got to make the time and just basically create a habit around doing it. I just put it into my daily routine. Period. Just like I put the show into my daily routine. And that's how you create your habits, guys. Put them into a daily routine. Force fit them in there and just get it done. So that's basically me reading about an hour a day, and I can do that in the morning before I really get my day started, and I can do that in the evening as I wind my day down, and that's no problem. I can easily fit it in. I just gotta exercise that discipline to do that. So we're talking about a portrait of a millionaire, or what a real millionaire looks like, and I promise you, it's not what you think. So let's get right into the show. But before we do me a huge favor. If you're checking this out on YouTube, then do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If you have already subscribed, then go ahead and grab the link, share it on your favorite social media platform, whether it's LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, I don't care where, just share it wherever you like to share links and interesting content. And then do the same thing for me, guys, on Facebook. If you haven't already said, yes, I want to receive notifications every time this guy goes live, then do that. But then go ahead and share the stream. But also on YouTube, on Facebook, you have the ability to invite specific people. Maybe you know somebody who's up this morning and could use some positive words in their lives. Invite them to start checking out the show every morning, guys. Because one thing you have to understand is you are who you are because of the books you read, the places you go, or the people you associate with. And in the place of books you read, it can also include the content that you listen to regularly, right? Some of us are listening to some horrible crap regularly, right? And therefore horrible thoughts go through our mind and horrible words come out of our mouths. That's why we're living in horrible conditions, right? So those of you who know people who are up and use a positive spark in the morning, that's why I bring this show, because I'm giving myself a lecture on these positive things you guys are just witnessing. So you can invite others to take a listen at what we have going on this morning. So do me a huge favor, share the stream, and let's get other people involved with the conversation. Today's show is brought to you by, nope, that's backwards. We don't do today's show by my sponsors. Before we get to the sponsors, just in case you stumbled on the show on accident, let's tell you who this show is specifically for. This show is specifically for risers and grinders only. If you're not a go-getter, this is not your show. This show is for those who are ready to get up, get out, and get something, and they're going to put one foot in front of the other every day until they hit their goals, so they reach their success. This show is for people who understand that life will knock them down, but they're going to get back up and go after their dreams every day. This show is for people who understand that, yes, I have a dream, and there are dream killers out there. There are dream snatchers out there, and I got to fight and wrestle with them every day. But my dream is so important to me that I'm willing to fight off all the dream snatchers. This is your show. This show is for you if you understand the power of creating legacy and generational empires for you and yours, right? If you went to bed like me, and every night I go to bed, I think about, what can I do tomorrow? What can I do next week? What can I do next month? What can I do next year to make sure that my children's children are proud to bear my last name? I'm thinking about my legacy 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If that's you, this is your show. If you're the type of person that, you know what, I desire to have peace, prosperity, wealth, abundance in my life. I deserve to have peace, prosperity, abundance, wealth in my life, but I'm just stumbling to figure out how to do it. I need some game planning. I need a tutor, a mentor. I need some strategies. I need some tools, some resources. If that is you, then this is your show, my friend, because that's what I bring each and every morning. Tools, resources, tips, strategies, guests, information on what you can do today to make sure that your tomorrow is bigger, better, and brighter. This is your show. On the other hand, who is the show not for? If you're not a go-getter, this show ain't for you, man. Because I don't even want to talk to anybody who hasn't figured out that they need to get up and go get what they want and not rely on somebody to give it to them. If you are the type of person who has a problem with me just talking about money all the time, this ain't your show, because that's all we talk about here is how to build wealth, create legacies, build and bring an abundance into your life, prosperity, peace, happiness, joy. That's what this show is all about. And if that's not you, this ain't your show, man. If you're the type of person that thinks that capitalism is a dirty word, money is evil, you think wealthy people are jerks, understand this, right? If that's your thought process, then when you have that kind of relationship with money, you will always repel money away from you. Think about it like this. Why would your subconscious mind allow you to attract something to you that you believe is evil? It'll never happen. Why would your subconscious mind allow you to become something that you despise? If you think wealthy people are jerks, your subconscious mind will never allow you to become wealthy because you despise wealthy people. So if that's you, this is not your show. If you're the type of person sitting back, waiting on Donald Trump to fix the economy instead of focusing on your economy, this ain't your show, man. You can exit stage left and we won't miss you one beat. But let me be clear about something. I have no problem with you not wanting to be wealthy. No problem whatsoever. I only have a problem with you when you have a problem with me wanting to be wealthy. Why on God's green earth does my aspirations to be a billionaire rub you the wrong way? Right? Rub you the wrong way. And I know some people say, well, hell, you want all that money, you can't take it with me. You can't take it with you when you die. I know that, moron, but I've got 5 children. So I have no plans on taking it with me. I have every intention on leaving it to them and to their children and to their children and to their children. Like we talked about yesterday, people say some of the craziest things. So if that's you, then you don't have to stay tuned in to the show. But understand this. Like I tell you each and every morning, if you've never seen a future billionaire before, and yes, that's billion with a B, I want you to take a screenshot and I want you to hold me to it. I'm serious about that. And you can stand on the sidelines and cheer for me or cheer against me. Don't make me know, never mind. But what I recommend that you do is that you get in the game with me. Because getting in the game with me Understand this, there's not a single billionaire on this planet who's ever gotten there without creating other billionaires in his wake, without creating other deca-millionaires, mega-millionaires, multi-millionaires in his wake, right? We talk about Zuckerberg all the time. How many billionaires has Zuckerberg created? Gates, how many billionaires have Bill Gates created? How many mega-millionaires and multi-millionaires have Oprah created? Bob Johnson. See, you can't get to a billionaire yourself without creating a bunch of other millionaires and billionaires along the way. So that's who and what this show is all about. Today's show, it says I can leave it to someone else. Today's show is brought to you by Best Services Unlimited LLC, the only income tax preparation company in Fayetteville, Georgia, accredited and A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau of Metro Atlanta. The firm specializes in corporate and personal tax returns, as well as new business formation and consulting services. And guess what? If you tell Miss Yvette Armstrong that you learned about her from All Amateur Sports Network or from the Talking Money in the Morning live show, you may just qualify for a free 2-day cruise to the Bahamas, right? Get your taxes done by Best Services Unlimited LLC, and you could be going to the Bahamas on Best Services for free for 2 days, guys. Also, if you don't want to get your returns done by her, but you need good tax advice, tax strategy, and tax information, I want you guys to check out her book at Amazon.com. And the name of the book is Maximizing Your Tax Refund, 35 Surefire Ways to Get More from Your Return. You can check out Best Services Unlimited at bsullc.us. bsullc.us. And then the phone number over there is 770-829-0082. That's my girl Yvette Best. And always remember, Uncle Sam is not your uncle. So today's show, we're talking about what does a real millionaire look like. And I'm gonna give you some things that I wrote down. I put out 10 things, 10 attributes of a millionaire from this book here, The Millionaire Next Door. And some of you guys know that, man, you've been talking about this book for 4 months. I ain't got through it yet, man, because just don't do a lot of reading. But in 2017, I will consume 5 books per month. Why? Because billionaires read 5 books per month at least. See, some of you guys will look at a billionaire or someone that you aspire to be like, and you want to have what they have, but you don't want to do what they do. So I read the bios and things of that nature. I listen to the interviews of billionaires so that they can literally, I can find out what they do in order to get what I have. To use her for taxes, do you have to live in Fayetteville, Georgia? No, no. Miss Yvette is nationwide. So contact her 770, what I do with the number, 770-829-0082. And she's normally on the stream this morning. So if she doesn't chime in to connect with you, I will tag her in your comment, in my response to your comment, and make sure you guys hook up. Miss Yvette is awesome, man. Awesome. And the other thing that I love about her is she deals with a lot of people who come in through her office who have multiple children, earn income tax credit, getting $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 returns year after year, and she's at least giving them the insight to say, hey, don't go out and blow this money, y'all. Put some of this money away from your children. Make sure you take $500, $600, $700 and pay up a whole year of life insurance so you don't have to worry about it monthly. Get that thing done so now you and your family are covered. So she does things like that, man. It's good to be connected with good people, man. It's good to be connected with good people. So if you're a good person and you want to sponsor the show, reach out. I'll tell you how she was able to get the sponsorship for the show, because she actually sponsors my All Amateur Sports Network. She runs commercials on that network. And as a result, I also bring her sponsorship over to this show as well. So I just love connecting and working with good people. But we're talking about the portrait of a millionaire, how it is. What does a real millionaire look like? So again, the millionaire next door, right? What does a millionaire look like? I wrote down 10 things, but before we get into that, I want to go over once again my 5 critical steps to building wealth. Because if you don't have a game plan, you're never going to get there. And to build wealth starts with number 1. You first have to define what wealth means to you, right? You will never hit a target that you don't have a clear picture of what it looks like. What does wealth look like for you? I'll give you my definition, but you can adopt this if you want, but if you don't believe this is what wealth is to you, you have to define this for yourself. To me, the moment my non-wage income exceeds my monthly expenses, then I am wealthy. See, the moment my residual and passive income and my investment income surpasses my monthly expenses, I'm wealthy. Meaning this. If it takes me $3,000 a month to live the comfortable lifestyle that I want to live, and I'm earning $4,000 a month, whether I get out of bed or not, I'm wealthy. Because not only is my $3,000 covered, I'm getting an extra $1,000 that I can continue to invest that to grow it even more. So I not only have my expenses covered, but I also have extra to keep throwing into my investment portfolio. So eventually it'll cost me $3,000 to live and I'll be making $10,000 a month. So you have to define what wealth means to you. So after you define it, number 2, you have to decide that that's what you want to do. Everything happens because of decision. You can define it, but if you don't decide to be wealthy, you'll never be wealthy. I've decided to be a billionaire. Have you decided to be wealthy yet? Have you decided to have what you say you want? Or do you just keep wishing, hoping, and dreaming for it? You have to make a decision. So define what wealth means to you is number 1. Decide to be wealthy is number 2. Draw out a plan that's going to get you there, right? Draw out a plan that's going to get you there. And when you're drawing out that plan, guys, you guys know that I'm all about entrepreneurship. When you draw out that plan, you got to be honest with yourself to answer this question. Is the vehicle that you're in even capable of getting you to your destination? Is the vehicle you're currently in even capable of getting you to your destination? And I use this example all the time, so I'm gonna give it to you again. I've got a Ferrari and I've got a Pinto. I've got a Ferrari and I've got a Pinto. I live in St. Louis, Missouri. Both the Ferrari and the Pinto will get me to California. Both of them. One will get me there a lot faster, maybe in a little bit more style, but they both will get me there. But my destination is Hawaii. I've got a Ferrari and a Pinto, and they will both get me to California, but my destination is Hawaii. Neither one of them things will get me to Hawaii. So I have to be honest about the vehicle that I'm in. And I don't dump on anybody's job, but a job is a vehicle that can only take you so far. It's a vehicle that can only take you so far. And if you want to go beyond that, you have to look at adding a vehicle in conjunction with your job or switching vehicles altogether. You got to be honest about that. So number 3, you have to draw out a plan that's going to get you there. What's going to get you to your picture of wealth? What's going to help you hit that target? Right? So just so you know, all 5 of these start with D. First, you have to define what wealth is. Decide that you're actually going to become wealthy, meaning that decision. See when the word decide or the word decision is the opposite of the word incision. Decision means to cut away. Incision means to cut in. So when I decided to be a billionaire, I cut away all the excuses that will keep me from getting there. So once you decide to do something, you cut away the things that will prevent you from doing it. That's if you make a strong decision to actually do it. So number 1, you define what wealth means to you. Number 2, you decide to become wealthy. Number 3, you draw out a plan. Number 4, you are disciplined. Be disciplined to execute the game plan. You have to be determined and disciplined to execute the game plan. And when you get off track, or you start going so far down the road, and that road isn't leading you to your destination, then you have to be willing to course correct. Right? Sometimes you have to scratch some things off on your blueprint. Right? Ask a good architect or a good architect. Right? Yes, I drew it up like this, and here's the spot that we want to put this building on, but I didn't know that there was pipes and an old building actually laying up under this building, so I can't go deep here. I have to scratch some stuff out on my blueprint, right? And that's okay, but you have to be determined and disciplined to execute your game plan, right? I'm a youth basketball coach. Call a timeout. Come on, fellas, pull out my little board, draw out some stuff on the board, but guess what? The stuff that I draw out on the board works, but only if they go out there and execute it, right? So you can draw out the perfect plan on your board, right? My perfect plan for 2017 is I got to figure out how to make $2,739.72 every day. Why? Because the first step on my journey to being a billionaire is to first become a millionaire. You got to figure out how to make $2,739.72 each and every day. That's $84,000 and change per month. But some of you guys don't even know that. And you say you want to be a millionaire. You got to first define it. And then part of me drawing out a game plan to get here, I had to first say, okay, what does that even look like? I want to be a millionaire, a 7-figure household per year annually. What does that even look like? So at the very minimum, to just receive $1 million in revenue, I have to generate $2,739.72 every day. Now, how many of you guys know that I also have to live? So I actually have to make more than that. Because what I want is that to be my net after all of my expenses and I live. Right? So I have to actually do more than that. Have you created the picture, giving yourself a target to hit of what wealth really looks like? What does it mean to you? Right? So the 5 steps again, the first 4, and then the 5 is going to knock you off your socks. The 5 is probably going to kill you. 5 is probably going to get some of y'all to drop off the stream right now. Number 1, you have to define what wealth means to you. Number 2, you have to actually decide to be wealthy. Number 3, you draw out a plan to get you there. Even if that plan means you have to change vehicles, even if that plan means you have to adjust the vehicle or add a vehicle. I'm not saying you have to give up your job, but if I'm going from St. Louis to California and I got a Pinto and a Ferrari, both of them will get me there. But when I get to the shoreline in California, I'm going to have to get me a helicopter, boat, or airplane. That don't mean I have to get rid of the Ferrari or the Pinto. That just means I need an additional vehicle to take me the rest of the way. Some of you guys need an additional vehicle to take you the rest of the way. That's what entrepreneurship is. That additional vehicle to take you the rest of the way. Right? Number 4, you got to be determined and disciplined to execute your game plan. And then number 5, this is where it gets tough. And this is where people will dismiss the whole notion of being wealthy, because number 5 requires you to make some tough decisions. Number 5, you have to disassociate yourself from people who will not help you or support you in getting there. Number 5, you have to disassociate yourself from people who will not help you and will not support you in getting to where you need to be. And that's the toughest of them all. You know why it's so tough? Because sometimes the person you laying next to every night is not supporting you or helping you get to your dreams and goals. And you might have to disassociate yourself. Sometimes the very person that brought you into this world, the very people that brought you into this world may not be willing to help you or support you in getting to your goal. Sometimes the very people that share your last name, you guys got a mother and a father in common, right? Won't support you or help you get to your goal. You have to disassociate yourself. That's the toughest part. That's the toughest part. That's the toughest part, man. And I know that it's not easy to say, look, Ma, I love you. But when I'm on my dream building journey, I'm going to go spend some time over here and less time over here with you. Mom, I love you, but when I come around, I don't talk about my dreams much because all you do is have something negative to say about my aspirations. Hon, I love you. You do everything else I need for you to do. You support me in every area, but when it comes to this, I know it scares you a little bit that I'm thinking about leaving my job to pursue my business. And you don't have a full amount of support in me in my pursuit to create something greater for us. That don't mean we have to divorce, but when I'm doing my business, at least just steer clear. Give me a couple hours to focus without your negative energy. And then I will promise you this. I'm going to do my thing over here for a couple hours. And then when me and you are together, I won't bring up my business at all. It's just me and you, family, whatever. But if you're going to give me the courtesy to allow me to go ahead and pursue this, then I'm going to pursue this over here, and we're going to keep the two separate. Because if you can't support me, I can't have you bashing every idea every time I start talking about how excited I am about my business, how things are progressing, or if I hit a wall and I stumble and I fall, I don't need you talking about I told you so. Right? You got that homeboy and that homegirl who say they pulling for you. You got that homeboy and that homegirl that say they pulling for you until you start having a little bit of success. Till you start looking like you're about to leave them behind. And then they got some stuff to say. Or if they don't have anything to say, they're constantly nagging at you or being sarcastic about, all right, there you go, Mr. Millionaire. You don't never come hang out with us no more. You effing right. Because hanging out with you ain't increasing my net worth at all. In fact, it's bringing it down. You got to make some of those tough decisions. And it's okay. But here's the easiest way to do that, though. The easiest way to do it, and this is how I found it, I was able to do it just with me. I just started doing what I said I was going to do. And when you start doing what you say you want to do, when I define wealth for me, I decided to be wealthy. I drew out my plan, right? I was determined to execute my plan. I just started doing it. And in the fact of me doing so much towards executing my game plan, I naturally, by default, had less time for the fake ones, right? Like that big, no time for fake ones, right? By default, I had less time for them because I was spending more time with mentors. I was spending more time with people I aspired to be like. I was spending more time networking with people who are on the same path, right? So by default, that cancels some of that BS I was doing with people who were not aspiring, people who are keeping me down. And I just kept it moving, man. And then here's what's cool. Those who want to move with you will see your actions and say, you know what? I'm going to cut out the BS too. And I'm going to go ahead and get on this path with you. Right? You ever left somebody and the people who really want to run with you, they're standing back with the pack. And then they see that you've left them. And then the fact that you're not looking back. And then they start looking around at the pack like, wait a minute. And then they take off running after you. Wait, hold up. And sometimes you have to do that with your loved ones. You have to do that sometimes with your loved ones. Just leave them. Do your thing. Go after your dreams. And those who see that and want it will turn around and say, wait a minute. Sometimes Sometimes people don't see their situation as negative until somebody walks away from it. See, when I walked away from my homeboys and started doing my thing, a couple of my other homeboys said, wait a minute. Is something really wrong with this circle? And then they start reevaluating the circle for themselves. And then a couple of them have to walk away from that circle too and say, you know what? You're right. And that don't mean they have to come and do what I'm doing, but they have to figure that out on their own. So those are the 5 critical steps to building wealth. You get those things down, and then you have to understand what a millionaire really looks like. So now this first one, I don't want to be any disrespectful to the women, but this is just from the book, The Millionaire Next Door. This first one is the average millionaire in the country right now is a 57-year-old male that makes 80% of their household income, right? And that's right now. But we also know, ladies, that 82% of all women who make over $100,000 per year do that from home. Most of them in a home-based business. 82% of women who make 6 figures are doing that from home via a corporate job, who realizes the importance of being a mommy. So they let those women work from home, but also a larger percentage of them are running their own home-based business, making 6 figures. So if you're on this stream, you're on the right track. Most of you guys are in a business of your own, and that's why you come and listen every morning. And I appreciate that, right? So number one, the average millionaire in this country right now is 57-year-old male and makes about 80% of the household income. About half of those guys have spouses that do not work outside of the home. Do not work outside of the home. And this will trip me out. Those who do have spouses that work outside of the home, guess what profession they're in? They're teachers. They're teachers. And I'm going to say this without trying to go down this road because I want to stay on task. So 80% or half of the guys who are millionaires in this country work are teachers. So when I talk about the miseducation machine, that means there's a lot of female teachers out here who are married to millionaires and who don't really need a job. So this could explain why they are not really passionate about teaching our children. And this is just a theory. This is just a theory. We know for a fact that most of the teachers in the United States public school system are white and female. And if these white and female teachers are married to millionaires, have $1 million net worth, and don't particularly need the job, but are taking a job because their husband says you need something to do, they may not be, that might be why they're not particularly passionate about teaching our children. Not saying they're not passionate about teaching. May not be passionate about teaching our children, but I'm not going to go down that road today. So I just thought that was interesting to know, right? And then it says the average net worth of these millionaires is $3.7 million. The average net worth of these people, $3.7 million. What is your net worth today? And I don't mind telling you mine. I have a negative net worth right now. I had a couple businesses that may be worth 100 grand. A couple businesses that may be worth 100 grand, but my house is upside down about 150 grand. Got about 40 grand in student loans between my 3 sons that I've already sent to college. Right? And you might be saying, well, that's their debt. No, that's my debt. Why is it my debt? Because as their father, I should have been able to write a check for their education. Their education is my responsibility. So because I sent them to school and I wasn't fully prepared to write a check and they had to get loans, that's my debt. It's not their debt. That's just me. I mean, some people will say you're on your own once you're out of 18, but my goal is to raise my children and allow them to get the education that they feel that they need so they can have success, and that's my responsibility. So now one of my sons is about to get cut off because he's a 5th-year senior at UMKC, right? And then he's talking about I'm gonna have to do an extra semester after I complete the 5th year. Like, dude, you already messed me up because he was supposed to be coming out of college when I sent my freshman in college in. So now I got 2 in college at the same time. Now you're talking about you need an extra semester? Bro, you don't get your ish together. But again, that's my debt because it's my responsibility to pay for their education, right? So some of you guys might be thinking, well, wait a minute, dude, you talking about you're a future billionaire, you got a negative net worth. How's that gonna work? That's what's gonna make the testimony so killer. To say, wait a minute, this dude went from a negative net worth to over $1 billion, and he kept telling us every day on Facebook and YouTube that he was gonna do. So if you got a screenshot of me saying this, you got a recording of me saying it, it might be worth a little few dollars, right? But that's neither here nor there. So what is your net worth? These people have an average net worth of $3.7 million, right? 3.7 million, right? 97% of them own modest homes to the tune of $370,000 or less. And they've all been in those homes for more than 20 years, right? So what does that really mean? Let me break that down for you. They own modest homes, valued at $370,000 or less. How many of you guys know when they bought those homes, they didn't pay $370,000 for them? They've been in them for 20 years. So a lot of them bought homes that were a lot more inexpensive, and they appreciated to $370,000. That's first. But they've been in these homes for 20 years. So what that tells me is, as their income and their net worth increased, they didn't keep increasing their expenses. How many of you guys out there, when you get a raise on your paycheck, you go out and increase your lifestyle? You get a raise on your job, you go upgrade your car. You get a raise on your job, you go upgrade your furniture. Wife graduates from school and she gets a new job making $10,000 more, and you go upgrade your whole house. After you've been in it for 15 years and it's almost paid off, you go get a brand new mortgage and start over at 30 for 30 years. See, this is the part that's killing us financially as a people. 97% of them own homes, modest homes, $370,000 or less. They didn't buy those homes at $370,000 because they've been in them for 20 years. They might have bought modest $150,000 homes over 20 years. Those homes appreciated in value. And as they continue to build their empires and started getting out of debt and started making more and more money, they didn't go upgrade their house every time they made a few extra dollars. That's what's killing us. You know what? Are the Joneses keeping you broke? Are the Joneses keeping you broke? Right? Here's another killer. Here's another killer. And this is why, this is the one that made me say, you know what? I can come from a negative net worth and do my thing. 80% of them are first generation wealthy. 80% are first generation wealthy. What does that really mean? Nobody left them an inheritance, man. They didn't hit the lottery, man. These are people who work their way up and manage their money and use those 5 steps. They defined what wealth was to them. They decided to be wealthy. They drew out a plan. They executed that plan. and they disassociated themselves from people who wouldn't help or support them in achieving those goals, man. That's what they did. 80% of them are first generation wealthy. So if you're dead broke today, it's not game over. If you got a negative net worth like me today, it's not game over. But so many of us have given up. And one of the reasons that we've given up is because we see what Hollywood says a millionaire looks like. And we ain't even a thousandaire, and we're trying to go have some of the things that they have. How you pulling out an EBT card out of a $500 bag, ladies? How you got $800 worth of weave in your hair and you live in a Section 8 apartment, ladies? Fellas, you got $10,000 worth of rims on a car that you don't even own. So if they come and repossess the car, they take your $10,000 worth of rims. $5,000 worth of gold chain hanging on your neck and you coming up out your mama's basement. We got to flip this, man. We got to switch it up, put the hip ish on the shelf. Stop playing, man. Stop playing. You pulling an EBT card out of a $500 Michael Kors. Gotta stop playing, man. 80% of all the wealthy people in this country acquired or accumulated that wealth within one generation. That means, just like I did the show a couple weeks ago, if we are to sacrifice, all it takes is one generation to make some tough sacrifices, and we can become wealthy in this generation. I'm 42 years old. That means, you know, a generation is 24 years. I'm 42 right now. That means in 24 years, I can become wealthy. And my children will never have to struggle. Their children will never have to struggle because I made some tough sacrifices. Are you willing to make some tough sacrifices today so that your descendants will have your picture over the mantle? And every day they walk by, they say, man, because of Mama and Papa Tez, we straight. Because of Mama and Papa Tez, I was able to pursue my dreams and never have to chase a dollar. Because of them, I was able to pursue my passions and never have to chase a dollar. You guys realize we're now in a place where in Hollywood, these are third, fourth, fifth generation people running Hollywood. We can't get there because we won't sacrifice. Somebody has to say, this generational poverty stuff stops with this generation right here. I've declared that for my family. Have you declared that for your family? This generational poverty crap, this is the last generation that will ever have a negative net worth. Have you declared that for your family? I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying it's time for us to get real and stop playing, man. Stop playing. So 80% are first generation wealthy. They all live below their means. They all live below their means. And here's the thing, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way. Some of you guys have reduced your expenses so low that you can't really live below your means. Some of you guys have reduced your expenses so low that you can't live below your means right now. So what does that mean for you? You've got to increase your means. Now, some of you guys on this stream are making 6 figures and high 5 figures. So you probably can cut out some stuff and free up $10,000 a year, and then take that $10,000 a year and start properly investing it and get the ball rolling. Some of you guys are only making $25,000 a year with 4 kids, and you're a single mom, single dad. Expenses are already as low as they can get. So you can't live below your means until you first increase your means. That's why you might have to sacrifice some time, some TV watching, some football watching, some partying, so that you can run or start a home-based business that's going to put an extra $500 a month. Now you increase your means by $6,000 per year. Now you don't increase your lifestyle when you get that extra $500 a month. You keep your lifestyle the same. Now you've increased your means. Now all of a sudden you're living below your means. Take that $500 a month and use it to get out of debt with. Take that $500 a month, use it to build an emergency fund. Take that $500 a month to double down on your 401k or create a separate IRA and start investing. It's okay if you're struggling, if you're flat at the poverty level. That's okay. But when you start to increase your means, do not increase your lifestyle to keep up with your means. Because what tends to happen is 3 out of 4 people in this country are flat broke. 3 out of 4 in this country are flat broke, paycheck to paycheck. Some of these people are paycheck to paycheck at $100,000 a year. Some of these people are paycheck to paycheck at $25,000 a year. Don't matter what the paycheck is. If you're spending every dime of it every week, then you're broke. You just broke at a higher level. You just look nicer with your brokenness. See, I can be broke with my 95, 94, or 2004 Mitsubishi Lancer. Somebody else could be broke with a 2013 ES400 Lexus. We're still broke. We're still check to check. We still are one decision away from complete poverty. If our bosses or our company decide to pack up and move overseas and leave us behind, right? We're one decision away. And guess what? We don't control that decision, right? We're one decision away from being out on the streets because we are so exhausted. They all live below their means, right? Most of them who are married have wives that are meticulous budgeters. Most of them who are married have wives who are meticulous budgeters. This is where I struggle. This is where I struggle. Budgeting, man. If you don't have a dollar for every target for every dollar that leaves your household, I need you to start thinking seriously about this, right? I'm going to go back through. I've got a book back there by Michelle. Michelle, I can't think of her last name. She did, I think, the 40-day financial fast or something like that. Man, I've got to go back to that thing because budgeting is where I'm weak at. Budgeting is where I'm weak at, right? So I know where I have to improve in 2017. But most of them who have wives that are meticulous budgeters. And then you think about it, we already established that 50% of them have wives who don't work. Well, they don't work outside the home, but they work inside of the home, making sure that financial ship stays steady. Stays steady. That's their job at home. Meticulous budgeters. They're not like me. They're not going to go to the store and buy a refrigerator full of groceries and then spend all week eating out so the groceries go bad. Then I have to throw the groceries away. That's the kind of stuff that I do, right? So you got to put a target in front of every dollar that leaves your household. That leaves your household, right? Meticulous at budgeting. Guys, we're almost done. I know we're nearly at the top of the hour. All of them have a go to hell fund. All of them have a go to hell fund, right? Benson said, that happened to me twice with the same company. Company moved overseas and left them out to dry twice. That's why I teach having a home-based business is so critical, because you can run something in parallel to your job. Now, I was able to walk off my job on my own terms, but at any time if my job left or let me go, I wouldn't have been disappointed, because I was running something parallel with my job just in case somebody made a decision that I didn't agree with, but I couldn't do nothing about. So that's why the home-based business is critical for a lot of different reasons. Number one, you minimize your taxes. Number two, you bring extra income in so you can start eliminating your debt. Number three, you show your children something different. What are you showing your children different that's going to keep them from being in the same place that you're in right now when they get to your age, right? So that's another talk. So all of them have what's called a go to hell fund. What is a go to hell fund? Guys, I teach you that you should have an emergency fund. 6 to 12 months of your living expenses put away. Just disappeared. Oh, no, it didn't. 6 to 12 months of living expenses, so that if you do, your job does up and leave and move overseas, the average time out of a job when somebody gets laid off is 12 to 18 months. That's the average time before somebody can get a job, a new job equivalent to the one that they lost. Not to say that they can't go and flip some burgers for a little while just to get the bills paid. They can probably find, but to get a job of the equivalency of what they lost, it's 8 to 12 months or something like that. 12 to 18 months, 12 to 18 months. So a year to year and a half before you land a job matching close to salary, position, and all that kind of stuff. Right? So that's why I say create an emergency fund, but they go beyond the emergency fund and have a go to hell fund. A go to hell fund simply means this: they can tell the entire world to go to hell and be straight for 15 to 20 years. Imagine you have your income coming in, you have your assets positioned in a certain way that you can tell the world to go to hell. You can up and move into a tent in East Jerusalem somewhere and never have to worry about working a job, nothing, and just be okay for 20 years. That's a go to hell fund. But it's not about a particular dollar amount. See, when I say your emergency fund, if it takes you $3,000 to live, then you should have $36,000. If you want 12 months, $36,000 in a municipal bond fund or something that's going to increase with a good interest rate, but you can access it relatively quickly if you do have an emergency. So you can have that. That's $36,000. That's a dollar amount, right? A go to hell fund is not necessarily about a dollar amount. It's about how income is made, how income is created. So their go to hell funds, they own business systems and things of that nature. So if you owned a McDonald's and you got beyond the point where you're a owner operator, but you owned it and you got your management team in place, then at the end of every year, most McDonald's are profitable to the tune of $400,000 to $500,000 a year. So at $4,000 to $500,000 per year, them people don't have to set foot on the actual McDonald's store, and they got $500,000 per year coming, $400,000 to $500,000 a year coming. They don't have to set a foot in there forever, never, right? Because McDonald's system is so tight that they've got everything in place laid out. If you need to hire new management, you get new management. If your district manager ain't doing right, all of that is laid out. All they have to do is collect the check. So how their money comes in is what creates the go to hell fund. And then they understand true diversification. The true diversification means I'm not diversified in the stock market because I have stocks ownership in a variety of companies in a variety of sectors. All of my money is still in the stock market. So that's not true diversity. That is a diversified stock portfolio. So within this entire market, my ownership within this market is diversified because I own some in energy sector. I own a little bit of retail. I own a little bit of real estate. I own a little bit of financial institutions, banks, and things of that nature. So I own a little bit in different sectors, but all of my money is still in one basket. That's not true diversification. Wealthy people understand this though. I do have 20% of my money tied up in paper assets, equities, and things of that nature. But I also own business systems. That's a separate asset class. I also own precious metals. That's a separate asset class. I also own collectibles. That's a separate asset class. I also own real estate. That's a separate asset class. So now I have wealth coming from 5 different asset classes, not 5 different sectors within one asset class. That's why they can have a go to hell fund, because their money is going to just keep coming in, right? If you owned a 100-unit rental property and you hired a property management company to take care of it, they will collect the rent, take care of all of the expenses, and all they do is send you checks. Do I have to go and physically be at that property more than once a year to check it out? No, I should get checks. That's how you can have a go to hell fund. Create systems where your money is making money for you, where your systems are making money for you. But guess what? In order to get them to that place, you're going to have to make some tough sacrifices along the way. You got to make some tough sacrifices along the way to get you there. But once you're there, then, once you plant the seed, then you got to water the seed. Then you got to fight to keep the weeds and the bugs and the animals from eating the seeds. But once that tree grows into full blossom and full harvest, it takes very little maintenance from that point on. When you plant these seeds and you sacrifice today for 24 years, one generation is 24 years. 80% of wealthy people today are one generation wealthy. So you plant the seeds and you grow the tree for 24 years. And it might take that whole 24 years, it might take you working that thing every single day, 8, 10, 12 hours a day. But that's okay, because in the 24th year, now all you have to do, the only work that you do now is you collect the fruit. It's the only work that you do. And then you can even hire somebody to do that. So we got a couple more and then we're done. So the Go to Hell Fund, less than 20% of these people went to private school. Less than 20% of them went to private school. Some of you guys are thinking you missed out on something because your parents can afford to send you to private school. That's not an excuse. None of these people went to private school. But guess what? Almost all of them send their children to private school. Right? They sacrifice. In the same way that I am with college, they don't send their children to private school because they think the private school education is going to teach them what they need to know. They send their children to private school because they know that in private schools, their children are more likely to associate with other children of millionaire households. So they continue to expand their children's thinking. Guys got to understand that less than 20% of all millionaires came from private schools, but more than 50% of them send their children to private schools. So that's just a hint there, right? And then last but not least, all of them invest over 20% of their realized income. All of them. So their net income, they all of their more than 20%. So if they make $100,000 in income a year from their investments or whatever they need, 20%, 20,000 of it gets invested. You want to know how the wealthy gets wealthier, the rich get richer? The poor get poorer because the rich. So I'm not really good with numbers, but I'm gonna try to paint a picture for you guys. I make $100,000 per year, and I don't invest a certain amount of my money. I invest a certain percentage. So 20% of that 100,000 is 20,000. So that's going to get that 20,000 to grow to 120,000 over the next 5, 6, 7 years, or whatever the math works out to be. Well, guess what? I still invest 20% of that. So now 20% of 120,000 is more than 20,000. So I'm investing more and more and more because the principal lump sum that I have to invest from keeps growing. And I don't do like poor people say, is this year I'm gonna invest $20,000. Next year that 20,000 I invested grows to 40. So now I got 140,000. So this year I'm gonna invest 20,000 again. No, I invest a percentage. So as my lump sum grows, the percentage that I invest grows, and I get richer and richer and richer and richer. What do poor people do on the other hand? They don't even invest. They take their money and they buy liabilities. You guys have heard me say this before. There is only one wealth building formula in the entire world. There's only ever been one. There will only ever be one. Just one. And if you learn it and apply it, you will have wealth. And that is cash, asset, cash. All wealthy people have ever done since the beginning of time is got their hands on some cash, invested in, bought, built, or invested in some sort of income producing asset that brings them more cash. And then they take that cash that the asset brought them and they do the same thing over and over. They invest, buy, build, or invest in an asset that's going to bring them more cash. And if they want to buy some junk, they don't use their labor to buy the junk. See, they take the money that they create with their labor and they use that to invest in assets that will create money without their labor. We take the money that we create with our labor and then we go and buy junk with it, right? If you ever read Rich Dad Poor Dad, Kiyosaki said, when I wanted a new Porsche, I didn't take the money from my labor to buy the new Porsche. I went and bought an apartment building that was kicking back enough money to afford the new Porsche. Now I got the Porsche, but my asset is paying for it, not me. See, they have nice things. It's the way they go about getting the nice things that separates wealthy people from poor people. Wealth consciousness from poverty consciousness. It's simple. Cash, asset, cash. The only wealth building formula that has ever been and that will ever be. Period. You get your hands on some money. If you're not in this country, get your hands on whatever your country's currency is. You buy, build, and invest in something that's going to bring you more of that currency. And you keep doing that. Wealthy people just have a lifestyle where they just do that automatically. That becomes your habit. You build wealth on autopilot. That becomes the habit of your teacher, your children. You teach them young. They build wealth on autopilot. How many of you guys are putting stocks in your children's stockings for Christmas? How many of you are putting stocks in your kids' stockings for Christmas? If not, why not? I'm not saying don't go buy them the Jordans, but give them a stock certificate in Nike to go with the Jordans and say, now you own some of this company. So when you see your friends lined up around the doggone corner to buy the Jordan 5s when they get re-released in a different color, you can do this, cha-ching, because I own a piece of that. When you walk out of your house, Nike down from head to toe, now that's justified because you're promoting a company that you own. If you don't own any stock in Nike, stop doing that. Stop walking out of the house Nike head to toe. It's ridiculous. Trying to impress people that you don't even like. Get out of here. right? These are the mindset shifts that we got to have, guys. And that was the last one. So I'll recap really quickly on the 10 things. And again, this all comes from the book, The Millionaire Next Door. And you guys heard it here first. So when it comes January, you can say, and you see me on the live stream, say, have you read your 5 books for this month yet? Because in 2017, I'm reading 5 books a month. Again, why am I doing that? Because all billionaires read 5 books a month at least. So if I'm going to be a billionaire, I have to do what billionaires do long before I can have what billionaires have. See, some of you guys want to have what wealthy people have, but you're not doing what wealthy people do. Wealthy people did these things long before they got the wealth. So to get the wealth of the billionaires, then I have to read 5 books a month. And that's going to shape my mindset, which is going to shape my thinking, which is going to shape the words that come out of my mouth, which shapes the actions that I take so that I can manifest the billions. Some of you guys say you want something and you don't even know how to get it. Say you want something, you have never read a book, listened to an article, listened to an interview on somebody who has it, who's telling you how they got it. Just saying, if you want to do something, you study the people who are already doing it. You want to have something, you study the people who already have it, and you don't go and try to ask them to give it to you. You go and ask them for the wisdom that they use to acquire it. So when I'm looking at Will Smith interviews, I'm looking for nuggets. Will Smith said, you can be more talented than me. You can be better looking than me. But one thing I can control is how hard I work. If you and I jumped on this treadmill right now and started running, I'm willing to die before I get off this treadmill before you. What are you willing to do to have the success that you want to have? That is my question. Will Smith said, me and you can jump on a treadmill today. And I don't care if you are a Kenyan marathon runner. I'm willing to die before I quit working and let you outwork me. Some people say in my organization, man, you extremely consistent, man. How you get consistent like that? Because I've decided that I'm going to be a billionaire. And I know all billionaires work extremely hard. And it's tough to outwork a billionaire. It's hard. So I refuse to let anybody outwork me because that's the only thing I can control. Right? The only thing you can really control is your efforts. Only thing I can control is what I do. Can't really control the outcome, can't really control other people's reaction to it. But one thing I can control is I'm not going to let anybody outwork me. Right? Only person that can get me to slow down from the work that I'm doing is that little lady back there. Because sometimes she say, Cortez, you don't see me. I say, that means I'm working too hard. I got to slow down so I can see her. Other than that, it goes down. Right? So let me give you the 10 again, The Millionaire Next Door, 5 books per month. If you see me next month on a live stream and it's the 10th, by the 10th, I should be on my second book, almost through with my second book. Hey man, what 2 books have you read so far this month? You can ask me, hold me accountable. Got to start doing what billionaires do if I'm going to be a billionaire. All right. So the average millionaire, we're talking about a portion of a millionaire. What does a real millionaire look like? The average millionaire is a 57-year-old male, right? 80% of them, and they earn 80% of their household income, meaning that even when the wives do work. My first time watching the show, this was how. Oh, I appreciate that, June. I appreciate you tuning in, man. So the average millionaire is a 57-year-old male. He makes 80% of the household's income. Now, he said about half of the wives don't work. That's number 2. Half of the wives that don't work, and those that do work are teachers. So even those who got wives that work, they're still making the lion's share of the income for the house, right? And then just so that you women know, 82% of women who make $100,000 or more do that from home. Most of them in a home-based business that they own and run. So let's be clear. This book didn't talk about the women who are up and coming millionaires, right? It's just focused on the men, right? And then number 3, their average net worth is $3.7 million. Average net worth is $3.7 million. What is your net worth today? What is your net worth, right? Number 4, 97% of them own modest homes, $370,000 or less. But here's the kicker. This is what you got to get. Most of them have been in them homes for more than 20 years. So what does that tell me? It tells me they didn't go out and buy a $370,000 house. They bought a $150,000 house 20 years ago that appreciated to $370,000. And if they've been in those houses for 20 years, that means as their income went up, they didn't upgrade their lifestyle. We got to start catching these little bitty intricacies, these little bitty things that make a millionaire a millionaire. And I know what you see in Hollywood don't say that this is what a millionaire looks like, but that's part of the game. That's part of the game, to get you out there spending money you don't have to appear to be worth more than you actually are, so you never increase your worth. That's part of the game. They show you what these phony images of what a millionaire looks like. I'm telling you today, that ain't what a millionaire looks like. This is what a millionaire looks like. Most millionaires, if you go deeper into this book, most millionaires buy cheap American-made cars and they keep them for 20 years. Warren Buffett was driving a Toyota Camry or something for 18 years, man, worth $70 billion. Said he couldn't afford a new car. He said, I did the numbers and I can't afford a new car. Some of you guys don't do the numbers and you go out and buy a new car that you can't afford, right? Most of these wealthy people have never bought a suit more than $300. But you know who does wear the $1,000 suits? The people who work for them. The advisors and the planners and the attorneys who work for them, they're buying the $1,000 suits and they have net worths of less than 6 figures. So you got to get clear on what a real millionaire looks like and not what Hollywood tells you a millionaire look like, because that's part of the game, right? 3.7 million. Live in modest homes, $370,000 or less, been in them longer than 20 years. Here's another good one. 80% are first generation wealthy. 80% are first generation wealthy. Yep, Warren Buffett still lives in the original house he purchased for $36,000. Man worth $70 billion lives in a $36,000 house. Now, it's worth more than $36,000 because he lives in it. So when he passes, that house will probably be worth tens of millions because he owned it. But it's the house that he bought originally before he became the $70 billion man, right? 80% are first generation wealthy. That means, guys, if you got your heart set on being wealthy, you can get it done in 24 years or less. Because a generation is roughly 24 years. If you got your heart set on, I said, do you use auto? Yeah, that's why I don't read much, Vincent, is because I'm always on YouTube, listening to lectures from Kiyosaki, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, and Boyce Watkins and all that stuff. But I got to get to reading, because that's a good exercise of the brain too. Reading. And it also, as a public speaker, I read and I read out loud, because that helps me with my enunciation and articulation. And that helps me speak better too. And that's something that I've gotten away from. So I've got to get back to that, because chances are people who write books use words that I don't speak in my everyday language. So it's constantly getting me to form different maneuvers with my tongue so I can execute on my articulation. So that's another reason I have to start reading more. But yeah, I did the audio book thing, man. And that's kind of what got me away from actually reading. So guys, if you aspire to be wealthy, this says 80% are first generation. That means you could literally become a millionaire in a single generation, 24 years or less, right? Number 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Number 6, they all live below their means. We've already established that. We already established they live below their means. They bought a house and they lived in that same house for 20 years, even though their net worth kept going up. They lived in the same house and didn't increase their their lifestyle as their wealth increase, right? Most of them who are married, their wives are meticulous budgeters. Again, this is where I struggle at in creating a budget, sticking to it, and making sure that every dollar that leaves my house have a specific target. That's what we have to start doing if you're going to start building wealth. Number 8, all have a go-to-hell fund, right? Not just an emergency fund, a go-to-hell fund. That simply means the way that they make their money, they can walk off the grid today and be straight for 15 to 20 years. Most of them can walk off the grid and be straight for generations because of how they make their money. They make their money passively and residually. See, passive income is I leverage people or I leverage things. So I can leverage people, meaning I can get a small piece of the efforts of 100 people. That's leverage. That's passive. I'm not doing the work, but I created something, or I created a system where 100 people can put in their efforts and I just get a small piece of it. Right? That's what I do with my financial education franchise. I will teach you how to build a financial education franchise. You can start for just $5 and $35 per month. I will teach you how to build a franchise. You will get the lion's share of the money, and I will just get a small percentage. And I can do that 1,000,000 times over. And now I'm getting a small percentage off the efforts of millions of people. And I don't have to do any work. And I can step off the grid and get that small little percentage off millions of people and just continue to live my lifestyle. So yeah, Dr. Boyce calls. Yeah, Dr. Boyce calls it the FU money. Yeah, the FU money. Right. Can you walk into your job right now, and if they do something you don't like, say F you? Right? Because he's got his business set up a certain way. When his daughter was being mistreated on her job, he said, go in and tell them F you. Come work with your pops. We don't need them. We don't need them. Right? So all have go to hell funds, right? And then less than 20% went to private schools, right? Don't use that as an excuse. I didn't get to go to private school, so the public school education system messed me up. No. Public school education system did exactly what it's designed to do, which is to mess you up, right? Which is to create an employee, which is to create somebody who drowns in debt, which is to create somebody who is overtaxed. That's what the public school system does. Because who controls the public school system? The people that you work for. They need good employees. So we need you to be somewhat intelligent, but not too intelligent. Right? We need you to be somewhat confident, but not too confident. That's what the public school system. We need you to know how to take orders. So I need you to go through a system of indoctrination and a system of submitting to authority over and over and over for 12, 15, 18 years, so that by the time you come to the job force, you're easy to manage. That's what the public school system is for. And then last, all invest over 20% of their income annually. Over 20% of their income annually. So guys, we're almost at an hour and a half. I know, I mean, I get excited when I talk about this because I believe this is something that they need to hear. Yeah, worker bee syndrome. Yeah, that's what it creates. That's what it creates. Because you try harder and harder to get ahead. I talked about this yesterday. We never really look at the system, and the system is good at disguising it. So we just look at ourselves. So our parents got through high school and was able to walk onto some factory and get a good job, a decent job, but they found that they couldn't make it. So they said, okay, I need you. Obviously, I did something wrong. I didn't go to college. I didn't get a degree. So I need you to go to school and get a degree. So our generation went to school to get a degree. Now we got degrees and we got our little jobs and we're working and we're still struggling. So we're not saying it's the system. We're saying it's me. So that means I have to teach my children to go get a master's degree. So now I need you to go get a master's degree, right? And now they get a master's degree, get their job, they're still struggling, and they don't look at the system. They look internally and say, okay, it's not the system, it's me. I need to work harder, so I need to make sure that my children go get a PhD or go get 2 degrees. And they never look at the system. It's a system. It's a system that's leading us down the wrong road, that's causing us to stay in bondage. So we got to figure out how to get out of the system. Do you feel group economics done right is a good move? Definitely. But it has to be done right. And the reason it's not done right because nobody wants to sacrifice. See, in order for group economics to be done right, we have to become owners. We have to become owners. And see, in one of the books that I'm going to get in 2016 is I'm going to get the entire, probably the first 5 books I read, I'm going to get the entire Dr. Claude Anderson series, Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, 1 and 2, Dirty Little Secrets, because he talks about vertical alignment, right? Vertical alignment. So what that simply means is we have to become owners of entire industries. See, we're getting better at becoming owners of retail outlets. That's just the beginning. That's just the beginning. So I own a small restaurant. That's just the beginning, right? But guess what I need in that restaurant? I'm going to need the food to cook in that restaurant. So I'm going to need to be able to go to a Black farmer to get that food, right? And that Black farmer is going to have to be thinking about vertical alignment too. Where does that Black farmer get the feed for his food? Who's producing the feed for his cattle, for his chickens, for his goats, for his pigs, or whatever? So in that restaurant, I have to think vertical alignment to own the entire industry. So eventually we have to become wholesalers, right? Who was that author? Dr. Claude Anderson. Dr. Claude Anderson does the Powernomics, Black Labor, White Wealth, Dirty Little Secrets 1 and 2. I think it's 4 or 5 books in that series. And he's been laying out this plan for about 40 years or something, man. So, but when you go to vertical alignment, so let's take one product, for instance. So I did a series, but I never published it, how neck strips can save Black Americans. How neck strips can save. So, you know, when you go to the barbershop, they take the neck strip, just a little piece of neck strip, and they put it around your neck, and then they put your cape on, right, to keep the hair off your neck. So think about that one single product, right? And we're talking about vertical alignment, owning industries, right? So within that neck strip, we know the strip itself is made of cotton and some sort of elastic material because it's kind of stretchy. So who produces that material, right? That should be us, right? Also, we know that those neck strips come in a box. Okay, who produces the box that those neck strips come in, right? That should be us, right? Cardboard, paper manufacturing, that should be us. We also know that on that box is graphic designs. Who should be doing the graphic designs? Who should be the models that represent the pictures on that box? That should be us, right? But also, how do you get the graphic designs on the box, right? Graphic designs are used ink. So you have to have ink. Well, guess what? What is ink made out of? All inks in today's printing is soy based. So that means where should we be getting the ink? From a Black farmer who grows soybeans, from a Black company or Black industry who takes the soybeans and turn them into soybean oil, from a Black company who takes the soybean oil and dyes it all in the various colors. So you're talking about owning industries, vertical alignment, and we're not good at that part yet. So if you are the retailer and then you constantly have to go to other cultures to get your goods from a wholesale standpoint, then at some point somebody has to become the Black wholesaler, right? And then as the wholesaler, you get your products from a buyer. And if you're not going through a Black buyer who's got trade agreements with all of the countries that are actually producing the stuff, then you have to become the buyer. And you have to start putting yourself in that field. And then if you are the buyer has direct relationships with the manufacturers. So if you're constantly buying from other nations who manufacture the product, then we eventually have to become the manufacturer, right? And then all manufacturers are getting raw materials from somebody. And if we're not producing the raw materials, then we have to become the producers of the raw material. And in order to be the producers of raw material, where do all raw materials come from? They come from the land. So we ultimately have to become landowners. When I say landowners, I mean millions and millions of acres of land. We have to become landowners because all raw materials come from the land. If I own enough land and I can produce the raw materials, then from the raw materials, we can manufacture all of the things that we buy and consume. And then if we're manufacturing all of those things that we buy and consume, then we can sell them to buyers and who's going to distribute them to the wholesalers, who's going to ultimately distribute them to the retailers, who's ultimately going to distribute them to the populace. So we have to tap into the cybersecurity market. We have to tap into security as a whole, just in general, because that's one of the things that we love to shout is that, man, they bombed Black Wall Street, we built another and they're gonna bomb it again. Well, we built up this time with adequate security. So just security, period. You can tell Jihad to come get it. He's up. So we just security in general. We just have to just be about that. But yes, when you start creating vertical alignment, then that's one of the ways that they could potentially come in and shut something like that down if we're not secure, since now everything is network capable and you have to use networks and technology in order to move and maneuver and to set stuff up like that. So guys, we are well over an hour and a half, 90 minutes, guys. If you want to catch the replay of these shows, and I do upload them to Stitcher.com, all you got to do is search Talking Money in the Morning, and you can learn more, or you can download all of the archive episodes and everything. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget my sponsor for today's show, Yvette Armstrong. You can reach out to her directly on Facebook. Go to bsullc.us. That is Best Services Unlimited LLC, or you can give them a call at 770-829-0082, and she can help you get your taxes done and everything. Say well over, but worth it. Thank you. I appreciate that, guys. So until I talk to you guys tomorrow, remember, tomorrow is Free Game Fridays. Bring your questions. If you have a business already, the way we do Free Games Fridays, you give me your business name. I shout you out to get publicity to your business. Then we answer and ask your question. And keep in mind that all of these shows, when you shout out your business name, these shows are replayed. These shows are seen on average by about 500 people on the day that I do them, and then they rebroadcast. I repurpose the content. They get downloaded as podcasts. So shouting out your business is a good thing. So give me your business shout out, and then ask your question. And if I know the answer, I'll do my best. If I don't, chances are I know some people that you can plug into to get those answers. That's what we do on Fridays. We'll recap all 4 shows of this week, and then we do live Q&A for as long as probably another 90 minutes or so. I don't know. Just depending on how many questions you have. What time tomorrow I have to shout out my wife? Cool. It's 7 a.m. every morning. Really, really, really close to 7 a.m. every morning. It might be 7:05, 7:10, but most mornings I'm pretty good at starting the show pretty close to on time. So 7 a.m. Monday through Friday. If your first time, I'm live every morning, man, and I appreciate that. And this is my effort. See, I know we got to fight a lot of different wars on a lot of different fronts as Black people, right? But every person can't fight every war. And guess what? Every war is financed. So at some point, somebody has to position themselves to write a check with more than 2 or 3 zeros in order to finance some of these wars that we have to fight. Somebody's got to be able to write a check to purchase land to build schools to fight the miseducation machine. Somebody has to be able to write a check to purchase training grounds for us to build the military to protect our cities, right? That's Central Time. Central Time. I'm in St. Louis, so Central Time. Somebody has to be able to write a check so that we can fight the prison industrial complex. Somebody has to write a check to be able to put our people in drug treatment centers so we can fight the war on drugs correctly, so the way that it affects our people, right? So that's my aim, is to build an army of financially secure people who can write those checks so that we can fight those wars. So that's 7 Central, 8 Eastern. So again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm your man, H Cortez, financial health mentor to the working class. Until I talk to you tomorrow, I want you to get your money up, because you absolutely can do it. Peace out, people.